What would happen if the iPhone versus Android argument went just a little too far? Is the culture of a tech company enough to upend societal morale? What might that look like? This story is called Betrayal, Android Exile. Once upon a time, in a small suburban town, there lived a young man named Alex. Alex was an amiable and easygoing person, always seeking new adventures and friendships. One sunny afternoon, his good friend Mark invited him to hang out with their group of friends at Mark's house. Eager to spend time with his friends, Alex happily accepted the invitation. As Alex entered Mark's house, he was greeted by familiar faces and warm smiles. The group settled down in the living room where they sat together, laughing, talking, and watching TV. The atmosphere was filled with joy and camaraderie. As the conversations grew more animated, one of the friends suggested creating a group text chat so they could stay connected and plan future gatherings more easily. Everyone eagerly agreed, and the group chat was promptly set up. The air buzzed with excitement as messages began to pop up on everyone's screens. Amidst the laughter and conversations, Alex decided to send a message to the group, sharing a funny anecdote he had recently experienced. Little did he know that that simple act of sending a message would trigger a series of unexpected events. As his message appeared in the group chat, an uncomfortable silence fell upon the room. The group's eyes shifted from their iPhones to Alex's Android phone, and a sudden realization dawned on them. Alex was the only one in the group with an Android device. Confusion and curiosity sparked a flurry of whispers among the friends. It started innocently enough, with a few playful jabs and lighthearted teasing. But the situation quickly escalated beyond control as one person's comment led to another, turning the good-natured banter into hostility. Soon, the once welcoming atmosphere turned icy, and the friends started treating Alex differently. The friendly faces transformed into sneers, and the laughter morphed into cruel jeers. The group's dynamics had shifted, and it was clear that they saw Alex as an outsider, an alien in their seemingly homogeneous iPhone-dominated world. Feeling a sudden sense of alienation and fear, Alex turned to his friend Mark, hoping for support. But even Mark, torn between his loyalty to his old friend and the pressure from the group, struggled to find the right words. He offered a few half-hearted attempts to calm the situation, but his efforts were met with accusations of being a traitor. As tensions reached a boiling point, Alex realized that his presence was no longer welcome. The once friendly gathering had transformed into a mob fueled by prejudice and irrationality. Fear gripped his heart as he saw anger flashing in their eyes. He knew that he had to escape. With a racing heart, Alex bolted toward the door, desperate to flee from the wrath of his former friends. Mark, seeing the injustice unfold, followed closely behind, determined to help his friend in any way he could. They raced through the house, the cacophony of angry shouts and insults echoing in their ears. Finally, Alex and Mark burst out of the house, gasping for breath, their bodies trembling with adrenaline. They sprinted down the street, the sound of angry shouts and pounding footsteps followed them. Panic coursed through their veins as they realized they were being chased not only by their former friends, but also by random bystanders who had joined the mob, caught up in a frenzy. Fueled by fear and adrenaline, Alex and Mark kept running, their feet pounding against the pavement. They navigated through alleyways, ducked behind fences, and tried to lose their pursuers in the maze-like street. The world around them blurred as they raced against time, their friendship and their lives hanging in the balance. In a desperate bid to escape, Alex and Mark darted into a nearby park, hoping that the trees and foliage would offer some concealment. Their lungs burned, their legs ached, but the thought of what awaited them if caught spurred them on. They ducked behind a thick cluster of bushes, their bodies pressed close together as they caught their breath. Sweat poured down their faces as they exchanged worried glances, the gravity of the situation sinking in. "What do we do now?" Alex panted, his voice trembling with fear. "I can't believe this is happening. They were our friends." Mark, his face etched with determination, replied, "I don't know, but we can't stay here. We need to find a way to get help and escape this madness." With cautious steps, they continued deeper into the park, avoiding the main paths and staying hidden among the dense foliage. They knew they couldn't let their pursuers catch them, as their safety depended on evading the mob. As they made their way through the park, they spotted a small group of teenagers sitting on a bench, engrossed in their conversation. Relieved to find others who seemed unaware of the chaos unfolding around them, Alex and Mark approached them cautiously. Breathlessly, Alex explained the situation, hoping for empathy and assistance. To their surprise, the teenagers listened intently, their expressions filled with concern and disbelief. "We can't let this happen," one of them said firmly. "No one deserves to be treated like that. We'll help you." With newfound allies by their side, Alex and Mark devised a plan to escape the clutches of their pursuers. The teenagers, driven by a sense of justice, spread out and discreetly confronted the mob, using their presence to disrupt and confuse their former friends. Amidst the chaos, Alex and Mark seized the opportunity and slipped away, using the diversion to their advantage. They ran through the park, their hearts pounding, fueled by a mix of fear and relief. With each step, they distanced themselves from the danger that lurked behind them. To Alex's dismay, he looked back and he witnessed a grisly scene as the mob began attacking the teenagers that had just helped him and Mark. Alex's face ran cold as he ran frantically to escape the scene. Mark and Alex quickly approached the entrance to the park and ran into the streets of the city. And that's where that story ends. I couldn't really figure out the ending for that one, and I felt like it could just keep going on and on, but I wanted to, kind of make this first episode a little bit shorter, maybe than the rest will be. Or maybe this is the perfect, runtime for this kind of content. So I would like to invite you guys to kind of help. If you have any ideas on how you think this story should end or what should come next, feel free to write your ideas in the comments, or you can email them to notionwavemedia@gmail.com. I'll put that on the screen for you as well. This story, it's kind of crazy, right? It kind of gets crazy and it gets a little bit extreme. Actually very extreme. And I don't think any argument between iPhone and Android would ever get to this point, but maybe, I don't know, maybe if you've had one too many one night, yeah, that could happen, I don't know. I thought that this idea was kind of fun to play with. I do think it's very funny when iPhone users will say that the text bubbles are green, if I'm talking to somebody that has an Android. The first time I heard it, I was like, that's just kind of ridiculous, right? We're just texting. I have this response, right, to this that's a little bit more insightful. Take this with a grain of salt. I don't think that this was intentionally done. But what I find most interesting is the division that has been created. And I don't think Apple intended for Android and Apple users to bicker with each other how they currently do. It's like Apple has created some kind of elitist culture with their brand. Another way to separate people and profit off of the disparity. And then this last part right here, this is food for thought. I guess we shouldn't be surprised by these results from a company that has a bitten apple as a logo. What are your thoughts on that? That's kind of like my application of it to real life. Apple came in and kind of disrupted the PC industry or the tech industry at large. And, now we have this whole thing where people are saying, in a sense, metaphorically, right? I am better than you because I have an iPhone, because I have blue text bubbles. So, anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know. And thanks for being a part of this episode. I'm looking to upload maybe, I don't know, twice a month at this point. Maybe we'll get up to 4 times a month, and then as things continue, depending on how you guys engage with this content, we'll see about increasing it or whatever needs to happen. Thanks for listening. Peace.